In this video, I will discuss the cookies in a Flask application. What are the cookies?
So how to set and read the cookies in a Flask application, that we will study with the help of this example. So what we have in this Python script is a simple slash or backslash URL which is defined and bound to a view function called as index. So when this index function will be executed, when it will be executed, when you start the server and give the URL as localhost 5000 slash. So when this index function will be executed, it will render a template called setcookie.html. This HTML file is stored in the templates folder. What it has, setcookie.html presents you a simple one text box form in which the user ID is to be entered. So let us have a look at this setcookie.html first before we explain the rest of the Python code. So this index page is going to render this setcookie.html. This is a simple form in which there is one input type is equal to text, in which you can enter the name of the text. Input is name is equal to nm, and then there is a submit button. The submit button, when it is clicked, the form data will be posted to the slash set cookie URL. Method is post. Okay, so this is the purpose of this set cookie.html, to let the user enter a user ID and post the data to slash set cookie. What is that slash set cookie URL? How it is defined, and what is the view function associated with that? So let us come back to this Python script in which this set cookie URL rule is defined, which the root method additionally accepts one more parameter. Methods is equal to default is get, but we are using the post method. The associated view function is set cookie. If this condition is true, because anyway the form is using the post method, so if request dot method is equal to post, this condition is true, so therefore this block will be executed. What is there in the form data? Form dot request dot form nm. So nm attribute of the form, whatever the user had entered into it, will be stored in the variable called user. Okay, so now the value of this user will be used to set the cookie. The name of the cookie will be user ID and the value will be user. Now in Flask, the cookies are attached to the response object. So you'll have to first obtain the response object by using the function make response. So that brings us to this make response function to be imported in the very beginning, in addition to the Flask object, render template function, request object, as well as the make response. This is the make response function. This make response function is going to extract the response object out of the template that will be rendered by this set cookie function. The template is read cookie.html. So it will fetch the response object and use the set cookie method associated with the response object to set the cookie user ID. This is the name of the cookie and the value is user. What is the user? The user ID entered by user on the set cookie form. Okay, and then return RESP, the response object. So this is what this set cookie function is supposed to do. It will set the cookie, right? Now what is there in this read cookie.html? It is a simple hyperlink which is When the hyperlink is clicked, the browser will go to this get cookie URL. So first let us have a look at read cookie.html. So this is a simple hyperlink formed around click here to read cookie, which has a href is equal to localhost 5000 get cookie URL. Nothing much in this read cookie.html apart from providing a hyperlink. Come back to this Python script in which this /get cookie URL is defined and bound with this view function called get cookie. How to read the cookie? It is very simple. Get function is available to the request.getCookies.get. So request object has cookies.get function. The cookie that was set was user ID. So name of the cookie will be the parameter to this get function. So it will be obtained in the variable called name. All you have to do is just to render the text onto the browser. Ultimately the result will be welcome whatever user ID you had entered in the beginning in the set cookie form. So this is the mechanism. It's a slightly complex mechanism, setting the cookie and reading it back. We will now execute this code. First start the server, then open the browser, open the form, enter the user ID and read it back. That sequence we'll have to do. So the Python script is cookie.py, execute to start the server. And go in the browser and give this URL localhost 5000 / opens up a set cookie.html form. You have to enter a user ID. I will say MVL. Press login button. The data will be posted to set cookie. This cookie will be set and the read cookie.html will be displayed. It will give you a hyperlink to click. The click will lead you to the /get cookie URL, which will read back the cookie that was set. That's it. So this is this example. This is how it demonstrates how to set and how to read back the cookie in a simple Flask application.
In this video, we shall see what are the redirect or what is the redirect function and what are the different error codes that a Flask application may encounter. So the redirects and the errors.
In this example, we shall see the use of redirect function, which is a part of the Flask module. So all the requirements are to be imported first. In addition to the Flask Flask class, the redirect function, URL for function, render template function and the request object. These are all the requirements. Then you start your Flask application by setting up a Flask application object. Then in this script, these three URL rules are defined by the root decorator. The slash, which is bound to the view function index. It does nothing. It renders a template called as login.html, which is a form in which the user can enter the username. So localhost colon 5000 / if you give this template will be displayed on your browser, providing you a text box to enter the username, and there is a submit button. So this login.html submit button will take you to the hyperlink login. So this is the second URL rule that has been defined. So if you come to this login /login URL, by using the post method, which is a part of the attribute of the form which is present in the login.html. So the method that will be used will be post. So this will be true, and if the request.form, that means the form in this login.html, in which there is a text box and the user has entered the username as admin, then the slash login route will be redirected towards another URL, which is the URL for success. So use the URL for function. Success is the method that has been defined. What is the URL for that? Slash success. So what will happen? On your browser, a message will be displayed as login successfully. Right? But for example, let us say the user directly enters this URL in his browser, localhost 5000/login. So that means what? The method is not post. On the other hand, the method will be get. The default method is, remember, the get method. So this will not be executed. The login function will execute this last statement, and the browser will be redirected towards the back to the index URL. That means this one. Again, the login HTML will be displayed for him to log in again. So in the effect, what is happening? This logged in successfully message will appear only if the username has been given as admin. You give any other username, it will reappear. What will reappear? The login form will reappear, continue to reappear till you give the username as admin. Okay, so this is the example of redirect. Let us see how it goes. So the Python script for this exercise is named as redirect.py. Start it. Server will start. Go to the browser and give this URL localhost 5000/. So you are on the browser. Localhost 5000/ is the URL given in the address box. This is the login.html that will be rendered by using the render template function. Now I will show both the situations or scenarios or possibilities. One is I give a username something like this. What is going to happen? This submit button will take you to the login URL along with the method attribute equal to post. So the if condition will fail, even though the method is post, the username is not admin, so this is bound to reappear again. Okay. Now in the second situation or second case, I give the username as admin. Again, if I press login, you will be redirected towards the /login URL along with the method post. So both the conditions are true. Method is post, username is admin. So it will now be redirected towards the success URL. The message that will be displayed will be logged in successfully. On the other hand, as I said, if I directly give /login, what is going to happen? You will be redirected towards the login URL, but the method will not be post. So therefore, the login screen will reappear. So all these three possibilities have been demonstrated here with the help of the redirect function.
A small example is there which will show and the use of the abort function, that I will show with help of a very small example here.
In this example, the use of abort function, which is a part of the Flask module, that is being demonstrated here. So in addition to the other resources, you have to import the abort function from the Flask module. This is of course the initialization of the Flask application object. The code here is more or less similar to what we used as an example of a redirect function. Here also there is a index rule. The backslash rule is attached to the view function index, which in turn will render a template called login.html, which login.html as the login.html has a simple form with a text box and a button. The user is asked to enter a username. That's all, right? But the login.html, the form in this login.html will take you to the URL /login. The action attribute of this login.html form is towards the login /login URL along with the method is equal to post. Okay, so when the user clicks the submit button along with some data entered in the username field, this URL will be accessed along with the post method. So this condition will be the associated view function will be executed. In this function, this condition is going to be true. Now inside which there is another if condition. If the form request.form username, that means the text box in the login form, inside that if you have typed admin as the name of the user or username, then second condition will be true. If this is true, the browser will be redirected towards the view function, the URL for the view function success. This is that success URL. Associated view function is success. What will be displayed? Logged in successfully will be displayed when the user enters the username as admin. If not, that means if this condition is not true, the method of course is post, but the value entered in the username field is not admin. So that means this else will be executed and it will encounter an abort function with the error code 401, and 401 is for unauthorized. So on your browser, a message unauthorized will be displayed, right? And of course, as we saw in the last example, if the user directly enters /login in the the browser's address bar, then the method is not post. So therefore this else will be executed and it will again take you back to the index where again the login page will be displayed, the form in which the username has to be entered. Okay, so importantly, we have to verify what happens as a result of this abort function. 401 is the error code that has been given. So you should see the unauthorized message being displayed on the browser if the username is not admin. That will be the verification of the abort function. Okay. So the Python script in which the abort function is used is called as abort.py. So I will start it so that the server will start running. Once it is running, we'll go to the browser, give the URL as localhost 5000/. The login.html will be displayed. Now I will show you both the situations where in the first place you will enter the username as admin. What happens? The /login URL will redirect you towards the /success URL, and the message printed will be logged in successfully. Okay, so this is one. Admin is the username, login is successful. Again go back to this login page. Now enter something else, something other than admin. So I will say user. Login, if I click on it, it will redirect towards the /login. Method is still post, but the username is not admin. So therefore it will encounter the abort with 401 error code. So it will print unauthorized. This is the message that comes along with that. Different reasons why you may be unauthorized. So that happens when error code is 401. And of course, if I give directly localhost 5000/login, then of course what will happen? It will again go back to the login form like this. So this demonstrates the use of abort function in the Flask module.
In this video, I will tell you about the message flashing mechanism in a Flask application.
So in addition to the other required functions like redirect, render template, URL for, you'll also need a request object and of course the Flask object to be imported. So those requirements are imported in the beginning. Then you of course create the Flask application object, set up the secret key. First URL defined is / and the bound view function is index. What it is going to do? It is going to render the template called index.html. So what is there in index.html? This is the index.html. Now that index view function is likely to be executed when it is the user is already logged in and he is trying to log out, or the login is unsuccessful. In either cases, your Flask application is going to generate some flash messages. So before displaying this part of the index.html, if there are any messages to be flashed, those will be done by this code. But of course, now that you have just started the application, there are no messages to be flashed, so therefore this condition will be not true. So therefore this entire segment of the code will not be executed. You will only see, do you want to log in, and to this login word there is a hyperlink leading to URL for login, the other URL rule defined in your Python application. So we will come back to this afterwards. What is the purpose of this? Right now there will be a simple hyperlink. Do you want to log in? And the hyperlink will lead you to URL for login, the login view function that is defined in our application. So we'll have a look at that. So this is the /login URL, which is defined by the root decorator, taking two arguments, the URL and the methods. Again, when this login URL is visited for the first time, obviously the request.method is equal to post this condition will not be true, isn't it? This will not be true. So therefore this part will not be executed. So therefore you will come across this, right? So it will render the template called as login.html. Now you see that the render template function is taking two arguments. One is the the template to be rendered login.html, and there is a error parameter. The value of the error parameter is the default value of the error parameter is defined as none, because initially it will be none. So then what will happen? This login.html template will be rendered with error is equal to none. Okay. So what is the login.html? This is the HTML login.html, in which there is a Jinja 2 template code. If at all there was any error that was raised before coming to this, that error will be displayed. Otherwise it will display a form where there are two text boxes, so to say, one for username, other for the password, and then there is a submit button which will post the data to the same URL /login, right? So that means if you click the submit button, the data will be posted to the same /login URL or the view function. Now for the second time, when that /login URL is visited, the login view function is executed. Now the method is post, isn't it? So we'll have a look at that /login URL again and see what happens. So it comes again here. Now the method is post. So this condition is true. Now it will verify whether the username and password are admin. If they are not admin, then it will raise an error. The variable error will be initialized to invalid username or password. If on the other hand, if the username and password, the values of the two data fields in our HTML form do have the value of admin, then the message will be you were successfully logged in, and there will be another flash message, log out before the login, before logging again. Okay, and taking these two flash messages, it will go back to the index. It will go back to the index view function, right? So we will have to revisit our index.html and then analyze the segment of the Jinja 2 template wherein the get flashed messages are processed, right? So this is that part. Now that the index.html is going to be rendered for the second time, there are the messages to be flashed. Those will be collected with this, and for each, if there are any messages, the messages there will be a messages object. So if messages, yes. So for each message in these messages, that message will be displayed, right? So this will display all the messages. In our case, there are going to be two messages if the login is successful, right? There are two calls to the flash function. So there were two messages. Those two messages are going to be displayed by this for loop. Okay, so this block will display all the flash messages generated by the earlier view function. Okay, and then again, of course, after the messages are flashed, you will again have this hyperlink to re-login. Okay, so this is the slightly complex explanation of the flashing mechanism in our Flask application. We will do these activities one by one. So our Python code for this entire flash activity is written in flash.py. So I will start the server, and now we will go to the browser to visit the localhost 5000 /URL. So I will enter that URL into the browser's address bar. It is giving me a hyperlink to take me to this login page. This is the login page. Now I will show you both the scenarios where I give some random username and password. Now what will happen? The error will be raised. So the error message will be displayed. Second time I will give a username and password that is acceptable, and then login. Now the messages will be flashed. You were successfully logged in, log out before the login again. Okay, these are generated by the flashes that were raised by the login function. Do you want to log in? It will again take me back to the login page. Okay, so this is the entire cycle of events that will that the application will go through for the message flashing.